Today we are going to talk about the Redux Logger. So for an example, you were doing all good in your code till yesterday and suddenly the next day you have a bug and you are clueless now how to resolve that bug. You have a very long code base with approximately 1000 plus lines, so you cannot do the debugging line by line. That will be really very tough. So for that, Redux helps us to manage the state of our application, but when we write more and more actions, it gets clumsy to find out which one triggered what caused the state to change. So we use Redux Logger for that. It is a simple and easy tool to understand. It is the same as Redux dev tools, but it is not an extension. Rather, it is a logger that lives in the application. It is a package. So, the Redux logging tool lets us replay the problems as if they have happened inside our own browser, not on the client side. That is, if you make an application and you uh, deliver it to your client, and then some bug appears on that application, so using Redux Logger you can view the problems inside your own browser and you will understand why the errors happened. So to install Redux Logger, we are just going to write our command inside our terminal, that is npm I space save Redux Logger. So we'll give two dashes and then save, and then we will give space and write Redux Logger. So npm I save Redux Logger, or just npm I Redux Logger, and after that we will get our Redux Logger package inside our project. So inside the logger there are two main things. The first one is apply middleware. It is an add-on given by the Redux to embed any sort of middleware in between the action invoked and the moment it reaches the reducer. It is the part where the action is dispatched but has not reached the reducer. So in the last video, we created our component of a brand which displayed the chocolate list. And we could add any of our components inside that. We could add chocolate names, we could increase the quantity, as you can see. So now today we are going to see about the use of Redux Logger inside this. So inside Redux Logger, we are going to use middleware. So we are going to use middleware. It is a software component which provides services to integrate disparate systems together. It can also be a function that can have access to the request object and the response object. Basically, it is going to tell us how our actions are working, and we can see that live inside our console. So it logs the information related to the Redux store. Whatever we do inside our app, whatever actions are dispatched and whatever reducer function does, the middleware and logger are going to log that inside our console and give us a better understanding of what is going on inside our app. For this, first of all, we are going to create a component inside our store folder. So inside our store folder, we have store.js. Now we are going to write some code inside our store.js. In the last video, we included all the component inside our index.js, but today we will just differentiate it. So the first thing we are going to import is our create store. So import create store. From Redux, and next we are going to use our create store. So const create store, const store, and we will assign it to create store, and inside that we will give our reducer as the argument. So our reducer name is brand app as we have created in the last video. This was our reducer. We also imported it inside our index.js, as you can see. So we are just removing some code from index.js and we are storing it inside store.js. So auto import that from the folder. Lastly, I want you to add logger inside our create store. So the second argument which we are going to do is apply middleware. So apply middleware is going to have the input of logger. So next we will import logger from Redux Logger. Only then this piece of code is going to work. And lastly, we will export default our store. So now that we have created the store here, we do not need the create store here. Lastly, what we are going to do is just remove this statement of store here and we will just import our store.js file directly into our index.js. So import store from store folder and next is our store.js. Nothing else has changed. And you can see that we do not need the create store because we have already imported the create store method here. So we will just remove all those lines which are not being used and just save the file. So you will not see any changes right now, but as soon as we just open the console, now we will just click on this button. So you can see we are getting some details about the action. We have done the action add chocolate. The previous state had chocolates with array 1. The present action has the type add chocolate and it has an empty string, and you can see the details of our object, constructor, has own property, all of these. Also it is showing the next state. The next state has the chocolate has 2 elements. First is KitKat and the second is an empty array, so the length is 2 and our prototype object. Let us add another button. So quantity, we have increased the quantity of our KitKat. So second action is increment chocolate. The previous state was the chocolates which had 2 objects inside our array, that is this one action. And our action was of the type increment chocolate and the chocolate which was incremented was KitKat. And the next state which it moved on has the first element is an empty array. As you can see, we did not add any input and we just clicked on the add button. So it is an empty string. It has the quantity 1 and KitKat has the quantity 2. So the total length of the object is, let me add another name. So 5 star and add. So now we have again created an action. So the previous state had 2 elements. Obviously it has 2 elements. One was the empty string and the other was KitKat. And our action is add chocolate and the next state has 3 elements inside the array, that is our chocolates. The first one is an empty string, the second one is KitKat and the third one is 5 star. So this is how Redux Logger works. So that's it for today. We will see you in the next video.